Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on March 1st, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everyone. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make on. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me, and they have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. With this in mind, today, being as we're looking at quite literally self improvement, which a lot of that ties around, but we're looking at the difference between healing and health. And rest assured, as you'll see, there is a very big difference between the two. Now, I could go the route of going, well, let's look at the definition, but how about we don't do that? And we'll just start in with the idea that here on Positive Perceptions, we have LA Moon is in with the gold. Welcome aboard, LA. Hopefully things are running smoothly for you. And Robert White, you are in with silver. How you doing? Glad things are moving forward anyway. Hopefully they're moving forward in the right fashion. And who do we got here? With the bronze of Shadow and Sun. And where are we? This is the link to Shadow and Sun's live stream. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do come out and give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights of the thing. Because frankly, it's by sharing these connections that we are going to end up. I read that wrong. That is not Shadow and Sun. That is Storm and Shadow. But that's okay. Shadow and Sun got an early plug, that's all. Okay. Yeah, I must say, I turned to Storm. Well, I guess I don't have to say. But Storm in LA turned around to give me a hand to sort out certain things I was dealing with today. So we will absolutely see how that works. The reality is, if I didn't get them turned around, I know for an absolute certainty, although I can't prove it and have no intention on proving it, that within the next 2 or 3 months, I was going to end up blind. Of course, my youngest son, I told him that, and his immediate reaction was, bearing in mind my other half is blind. My youngest son turns around and goes, "Oh, twinsies." I'm like, well, technically yes, but I'm really not that interested in being blind. Now, when we are looking at health and healing, health is the overall, that's the ongoing state you're in. Is your health good? Do you have the energy to get up and do what you have to? And by the way, guys, just a real quick little note. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Just a real quick note. I haven't confirmed with Dave yet, but we are on the first Friday of the month. So unless I'm misreading something, I should be on Spaced Out Radio as well tonight. Now, let me just see. We have to find this. And this is a link to Spaced Out Radio. Okay, of course, I get there at 9 p.m. PST. And there it is. Well, did I do that screwed up? Yeah, something was a little screwed up there, that's for certain. There we go. There is the link to Spaced Out Radio. one of the big problems I'm running into right now, and I'm about to rectify it. Well, I've already started the rectification. Well, so much for English. We'll just call that a word. But when we look at your health, we are talking physical, mental, financial, spiritual, all of it. When it is all in balance, that's what we call your health. Okay. When one aspect of it is out of balance, that's when we start looking at healing, aka correcting the damage that correcting the part that is off kilter. Now, whether you do that using your brain, which is usually required in any event, but primarily where it comes to your financial health, okay, or your investment processes. Okay, now you may rely on modern trained doctors, or you may rely on naturopaths or spiritual healers or any number of combinations. Okay, whatever works, whatever is off kilter, find a way to put it back into balance, and you'll find your energy levels climb really quickly. Now let's get that minimized. Me, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I think I missed something here. I know I missed something. We have LA was in with gold. Robert White is in with the silver. Storm and Shadow in with the bronze. And Joe Stewart, you actually came in with honorable mention. Now I do find it fascinating. See, one thing I look at when I'm looking at overall health, I take a look at individuals, and I have definitely put myself on the back burner way too often, which is why I am now putting myself as a critical concern. And again, guys, if you have a question, whether it's in this topic or not, absolutely put it into the chat room in all caps, or at least partial caps, or a neat little wavy hand. See, when you come in me, right, you put that hand up, and right off the bat, I see you're here. Okay, I try and keep an eye on everybody coming in. Doesn't always work for me, but we are striving to get better at it. Now, as was to be expected, we've dropped below the 600, but I wasn't planning on staying above it. Okay, not right off the bat. That would be nice. But the neat part about it, yeah, that works. Legs a little off kilter, but hey, what the heck? When we're looking at your overall health, where are the weak points? Again, self-analysis is literally the key to making everything work better. If you feel something's off, the odds are it is. But having corroboration from somebody else can be really beneficial. That the real kicker to it is, if you feel something is off, even if nobody's agreeing with you, do your research. Don't just take my word for it, okay? Do check into things. If you're feeling off kilter, if you're feeling like something isn't connected, it is absolutely imperative that you turn around, and look into it. Do your research, find out what's not fitting. If something doesn't fit, it's time to make a change. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys what medication I was using. All I'm going to tell you is that my instincts told me where the problem was. A little bit of research corroborated it. So for the people involved in corroborating it, thank you so very much for that. See, now if I drop dead, I just blame you. No. I've dropped dead way too often to blame anybody for it. But we are looking now at putting the entire world back on track. And that gets done by opening the doors and going, okay, what's off kilter in your world? What do you require brought back into balance? Then once that starts to balance out for you, then we can turn around and reach out to the other people. Now, on the plus side, where's my sheet here? Right here. Nope, not that one. Somewhere around here. Of course, it's not going to be readily available. Why would it possibly be readily available? There we are. Okay, this neat little sheet handles the next 3 months of what I've got scheduled. But that said, if you've got a topic that you would like to touch on in any field, drop me a line, make a suggestion. This layout is set up in such a way it's very easy for me to insert things. But it also means for the next 3 months I don't need to worry about it. But when we start looking at healing, let's start the obvious issue from a physical standpoint. Okay, take a look at your body. Are you feeling healthy? Are you feeling, energetic? Do you feel like you can keep up with the pace that you desire to set? Okay, never mind what the rest of the world says. Unless you've got a job that says you got to be at work at a given time, make sure you get there. Okay, kind of an important factor. Now, this is where we take it from the get-go. How do we start working on your body without you knowing what is wrong with it? You're feeling a little off. Well, this is the neat little part. We go like this. Take your hands, put them palms towards each other. Now, you notice you can see my body through my hands. You only leave your hands separated by half an inch, by a quarter, maybe half an inch. Now, you'll feel something between them. If you haven't done this before, give it a shot. Okay. Now, there's a lot of different ways I've heard it explained. But if you put your hands just a quarter inch to a half an inch apart, you'll feel something between them. I've heard it told in a number of different fashions. But once you've got that energy running, understand biomagnetic energy runs both directions at the same time. Therefore, when you feel that pressure building, immediately in your mind's eye, put the one word in your mind: heal. You don't have to know specifically what is wrong with your body. Your body already knows. And yes, by the way, this is one of those neat little things that I have to deal with here. Let's see. Just making a note because March's copy of positive perspectives went out today. Way too tight to the line. Okay, but that said, I've already gotten this article I'm just looking at, which literally means I'm going to take this technique that I've just talked about, and I'm going to write it out and pop it into the next newsletter so that you've got a hard copy of it. Now, bear in mind, these are tools I know work because I use them. Okay, again, and this is in conjunction with anything you're working with regular doctors or naturopaths or whoever with. Oh, where are we? Joe. Oh, there we are. Oh, okay. Joe, I'm glad LA caught that so quick. with you being very intuitive, you're talking about spiritual health. Okay. And the trick with spiritual health, and we've covered this before, but let's go through it again. Now, in fact, like I said, I am in the process. One of the things I'm doing is linking positive perceptions with positive perspectives. So, where are we? How to, well, okay. Now, I just covered the physical side. Now, when we are talking about your spiritual health there, Joe, okay, your spiritual health is done this way, in your mind's eye. Okay, and you can call it your imagination. It doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it a cucumber sandwich for all it matters. Okay, but picture yourself inside a complete bubble of white light. That's 360 all the way around. Kind of like standing inside of a glass bubble. Okay, now that white light will protect you from the negative ambient energy that is here just because you're on Earth. Okay, with that in mind, okay, that's just the normal stresses. You know, if you're walking into a room and people have been fighting in it, it will protect you from being overwhelmed from that. Won't necessarily be perfect, but it'll certainly help. Okay. Carl, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, that's to start with. Now, take that bubble of white light, surround it with mirrors facing away from you. This will leave you, this will protect you from the negative energy that other people generate by simply being here. The people that are getting into the arguments, people that are screaming at you, this sort of thing. Okay, anything like that. The mirrors will transmute it and reflect it back to them in a positive fashion. Because the last thing we want to do, last thing I desire to do, is bounce around a bunch of negative energy. And yeah, I got caught right smack in the middle of it today. But those mirrors will reflect it back in an adjusted positive light to the people that sent it, thereby calming the energy around you. Now, you got the bubble of white light around you. You've surrounded it in mirrors facing all the way around. Now, run real thick, healthy roots right from the soles of your feet straight to the core of the earth. This will enable you to burn off the negative energy you personally generate. Things like self-doubt, self-recrimination, self-worth, self-reprisal, you get the idea. Okay, in doing this, you will keep your own personal spiritual energy levels running high enough to function properly. Okay, that is the easiest way to look at it. Okay, and again, I've already marked it down, and I've got a number of things I got to write tonight, but I'm starting this off this way, actually. Logic. Take that, put that, there we go. Physical healing. These are articles that I'm going to have to include in April's newsletter. Okay, only I'm not waiting until the last minute this time. And yes, eventually what's going to happen is these articles will get expanded and eventually end up in a book as well. Now, bear in mind, and I'm sure you're already aware of this, Joe, bear in mind those 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Those 3 laws you've got to stay on top of. They are the backbone to your spiritual, mental, financial, physical health. All of it, and emotional health, by the way. Those 3 karmic laws are the backbone of the whole 9 yards. Now, you may find, Carl, with those, you may find, Joe, with those bubbles, you may have to put them up. And yes, that bubble will protect you if you happen to astral travel as well, because that bubble is generated by soul. By your soul, by your higher self, call it what you will. But that, and again, if your spiritual body is out of alignment with the physical body, your physical body is going to suffer health issues. Okay, this is why it becomes very difficult for most people, if they're not completely spiritual, but spiritually balanced, they can go through some pretty severe emotional trauma. Love eyeballs right now? No, actually, I really don't. But we are. What do we got here? So obviously, clearly by what you said, Sam Gloves, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. See, I had to get where it came to gloves. I actually had to get a custom set made, right? Because if you look at your hands, most people have 5 fingers to work with. I kind of had to deal with a 3-finger glove, or 4-finger, if you will, because my hand isn't built the same way. The other one was the same way until I went and had a stroke, and that screwed things up. But if spiritually you are not in balance with yourself, never mind the rest of society, you've got to remain true to you first. Okay? By keeping yourself spiritually balanced, spiritually protected, as we just talked about, by doing that, you will find that a lot more things go right for you than go wrong. Now, it's not a fail-safe, don't get me wrong. What do we got here? Actually, I know what that is, what I need to know. Okay. Those are 2 articles I've got to deal with. This one. Oh, already did that. Okay, let's bring that back over. Okay, I know I've got other articles I was working on. But here's the neat thing. Oh, in all fairness, the funny thing there, Sam, is I actually don't. I've got work gloves. I've got, I don't have any driving gloves at home, unless you count the 3-fingered ones, and those are crocheted. What is this? Not sure how all that fits in. So I'll worry about that afterwards. No, I don't use gloves a lot myself. Okay, I'm fine because I don't like things between my fingers. You can picture why I don't like things between those 2 fingers. But, much as I've got work gloves, since I don't garden and I don't leave the house much, it becomes a little pointless for the work gloves, but I never threw them out is all. When you take a look at your world, the first thing you're going to notice, and you may not consciously notice it, but the first thing you're going to respond to is the spiritual flow, is the energy flow in the house. Now, we've talked about the spiritual protection. That's the bubble of white light. Now let's take a look at your physical health. That is done by either doing your own research, which I strongly recommend, or talk to people that have done it professionally, that have done it successfully. A nutritionist, a naturopath, somebody that actually knows health. Okay. And rest assured, this does sometimes mean the doctors that are, go and talk to a doctor about your diet. But again, always, always, always do your own research. Okay. Because the physical side, if you desire to get anything done, you've got to be getting appropriate rest. You've got to be making headway on the issue of getting things accomplished so you feel like you're doing things right. I gotta check those. Definitely have to. I set myself up to actually do a couple of articles. You know what those are? These are not written. What is that? Yeah, that's always a bonus. Yeah, a little bit scattered, but that's okay. On the plus side, I am getting more organized, which is kind of a necessity. Like I said, your physical health is critical. That means, are you eating right? As in, do you have energy to go through your day properly? Do you have the mental fortitude or the mental clarity because you're getting the right food into your system? Now, I am not going to go into what nutrition is for you. That becomes your department. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're not paying attention to your own health, very few people are going to be able to actually help. Okay, but you take care of the physical now, something that will directly affect your physical health and your mental health, by the way. Let's go with the axiom with the concept that the state of your immediate physical location is a result of the state of your mind. If your mind is really badly cluttered, then you're going to run into some interesting snags. Okay. Those snags being that your mind is going to be cluttered. Net result, your energy gets a little sluggish. Now, what do I got here? So, of course, I've got all these different projects on the go that I'm having to streamline just to make sure they run in the right direction. I don't know what I did with that, so that's okay. So let's see what I got here. Yes, I do stand up. One of the things I found, if you're working at a computer, if I sit in one place too long, my back gets really sore. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Hopefully not too many, though. Joe goes, I may be the only one in my neighborhood that witnesses paranormal activity at night. In all fairness, Joe, I would be inclined to say you're one of the only few that says that you see it. Most people are literally afraid to say, oh, I saw a ghost or I saw something I didn't understand. Yeah. Robert goes, yeah, sitting in the wheelchair makes my back sore too. I have no doubt about that, and I do feel for you there, Joe. I know my brother, because my brother used to rehab quadriplegics, paraplegics, and I realize you're not paraplegic. Okay, you just got a bit of a lopsided stance. But my brother used to encourage the paraplegics, if they couldn't stand up completely, he'd tell them to put their hands on the arm of the wheelchair and just do push-ups with with his arms, just to do a little bit of stretching with the back. Okay, bear in mind, my brother, he's passed away over 15 years ago now, almost 15 years ago. He passed away in 2010. But he used to rehab quadriplegics to live on their own. I'm lucky. The only time that I have to go into a wheelchair is when I'm traveling by plane, because I came to the understanding about a decade back. Frost Kitten, how you doing? Glad you could join us. About a decade back, I was struggling to get through the airport on my cane dragging luggage, and this flight attendant showed up, and she looks at me. She was on her way to the plane, and she goes, "Sir, can I get you a wheelchair?" I did not like them at the time. And don't get me wrong, I have always stopped to talk to people in wheelchairs or to deal with holding the door or helping them out. I just never desired to be in one. But I knew I was running late and I knew I was having trouble getting there. So I took her up on it. Since then, when I go to book a flight, I literally tell them, yeah, get me a wheelchair to get to the airport. I can walk, or to the airplane. I can walk on and off it, but it takes me a little bit. And then they deal with that and problem solved. Oh, nice. Not that she's recovering slowly, but that she went through it okay and is recovering. I do feel for her going through major heart surgery. I've already tried the heart attack thing. Don't feel like the surgery, so I'm not going to have another one. Well, yeah, good luck with that. But I am glad she's doing well. Any idea how long they figure it's going to take her to get back on her feet? I mean, talk about a perfect time to drop that in our lap. The one thing that I will caution anybody, if you're under the care of a physician and they tell you how much time it's going to take you to recover or how much time to allow for it, do follow their instructions. Now, I'm great at following instructions, as we've discussed. Okay. I just don't like the idea of taking the length of time they talk about, so I just don't bother. Oh, yeah. Frost Kitten's just saying she had no real choice. She had 2 years at most without it. I am so glad she went and got it. Like I've told people, heart surgery, definitely go to a doctor. When I snapped my arm, I went to a doctor, much happier with that. Where are we here? Wu is going, what do you know of the Venusians? Are they the first ones who came here to stop the atomic bomb after Hiroshima and Nagasaki? No. In all fairness, the thing there was, number one, the Venusians had nothing to do with it. Number two, it was the devastation that mankind dumped on itself that pulled the plug on it, because the war collapsed. When the balance of the war got spun, okay, when the balance of the war got spun, mankind looked at it and went, what did we just create? And everybody went, and I mean, around the world, everybody went, we got to stop. This is where it's called a massively explosive wake-up call. I'm hoping, and I don't have a lot of hope, okay, that people will get the message that a massively human-generated cataclysm is a lousy motivator, but it works. Oh, there you go, Frost. She'll be 59 in April. Now with that in mind, okay, I got a couple of years on her and a whole lot more heart attacks. Okay, I'll be 61 in 2 months. Yeah, we're in May now, so 2.5 months, I'll be 61. Which means, guys, when I'm up in Reno, I'm having my 61st birthday there. Oh, okay. And again, I can tell you, much as I've got a thing against doctors myself, I will tell you, when I went in for rehab after my stroke, boy, were they on the ball getting my body working right. Okay. And if you've got a good rehab, that can do wonders for her. I certainly encourage her to go and get the extra guidance. Okay. Because I'm pretty certain if your mom's anything at all like the age bracket that would put her in, she really does not like sitting still and doing nothing. She probably doesn't have a lot of get up and go. You know, this is one of the things that I really like. I find coming to this stream, you know, yes, it was LA Moon that came up with the name Positive Perceptions. Okay, but I will tell you, coming here has made a phenomenal impact on my own outlook. Now, what do we got here? Frost Kitten goes, she made a friend, an older gentleman in ICU. Oh, that's incredible, Fire Frost. Ferret, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, isn't it nice to see things like that? You know, your mom's having heart surgery, and what happens? She finds herself a gentleman to get her attention. And this is why why I tell people, part of the issue of life, and it's a major part that I have left way out of the picture. Okay. You know, you know, when you're looking at life, you've got to find people to connect. Okay. You really have to find people to connect because life is about interacting with people. This is one of the big reasons we came here. Ferret, to be honest with you, I really haven't. You know, of course, I don't get around much. I've been in the middle of changing all sorts of things around. Hopefully nothing has happened that's been said that has gone sour with her. You know, on occasion I get caught up with my own stuff, which is why I've done an entire rebuild on the way I'm doing things. For what it's worth there, Ferret, if I see her, if I see football, I will do my best because quite often she shows up and spaced out on the first Friday. So I'm kind of expecting her to be there tonight. Where are we here? Woo's going. Arceus out of the planets in our solar system, the close ones, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury. Okay. Now, well, in all fairness, most of them do, but Mars is fully occupied. You cannot colonize Mars. You can emigrate in my eyes, but it's a fully occupied system. Venus is fully occupied. Okay, Titan, which is a moon around Saturn, is occupied. And of course, Vulcan, it's inside the sun's photosphere. Much as it's occupied, man cannot live on it. And you can imagine why. Oh, Ferret, there's two reasons there. Number one, life on Mars isn't on the surface. It's underground. Okay. What you see on Mars is the result of what they did to themselves millennia back. Okay. So they ended up moving their entire civilization underground. As far as the question of, well, why, and I do, nobody's asked yet, but why doesn't anybody hear them? Why don't they pick them up with the sonic sensors and what have you? Okay. But they also have sound dampers that stop them from picking it up. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Ferret. The fact of the matter is, and just to go sideways on myself, Frost, bringing this to our attention, absolutely not a bad thing. It really isn't a bad thing. I like the conversations that go on in the chat room because they do two things. One, the people in this stream really do turn around and help each other. That is one of the things that I love about the way this has turned out, because we are trying to make it safe for everybody. Okay. And I certainly don't desire people to go, oh, I shouldn't talk. So many people I've talked to, it's like there's so much cross chatter. What a bunch of trolls. Cross chattering here simply means people are communicating, and this is something that seems to be a bit of a lost art. Okay. So that said, oh, speaking of which, March, January, February, March. So we'll go out in. I'm pulling an absolute blank here. So I do this just on principle. Whoa. Okay. We go there. Oh, I guess it'll be going out and not quarterly, but every third. Okay, because I mentioned that I had to pay that I've got it set up. Where are we? Mac, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, I love it. Frost. Yes, the U.S. did make, as far as I'm aware, U.S. made the first landing. There's some argument that maybe Russia did, but my understanding is U.S. got the first landing. However, the thing is, on the backside of the moon, the so-called dark side, which, by the way, is way too bright to be called dark. Well, I'm not going to argue what they're saying about what they should be, but I'll tell you right now, I don't buy for a moment that they haven't been back there regularly. Okay. See, now once we get into technical explanation over there, I get completely lost. Terran technology, I am not an engineer or a scientist, and definitely not a mechanic. Okay. But I do know that the backside of the moon is very inhabited. It's got an entire, not civilization, but it's got an entire station back there, a way station, if you will, and a lot of activity. And if you go from the moon on a dead line towards the outer reaches, there's a jump point that you won't see from Earth. Oh, the lights on the moon are easy, and I can see we're going to have to go down that road sooner or later. When you're looking at the lights on the moon there, Frost, you're looking at vehicular transport. Okay, there are a lot of different ships and different activity that goes on over there. And yes, some people go up from Earth to the moon and either stay there or move on. There is a lot of traffic. This is why I say, the other thing that modern scientists haven't found yet, okay, and I don't know if they've got to have the sensors to be able to do it, but they certainly haven't said anything that I'm aware of, is you've got about a millimeter of actual functional atmosphere on the surface of the moon at this point, and it is going to grow, but that's going to be ages down the road. Okay, none of you are likely to be alive when they finally get anywhere with it. Where are we? You know, the neat part about it is that, again, this kind of does link into the whole idea of healing. The more we understand, quite seriously, a friend of mine put it this way: to know oneself is to know all. Now, if you look at the cell structure of the corporeal genome, okay, you'll find the cell structure is identical to that of the planets, of the galaxy, of the universe. You get the picture. So the more we understand what's going on, the easier it is to understand what's going on with your own body, with your own health. And rest assured, curiosity is extremely beneficial and kind of necessary with it when you think about it. Um, well, the funny part about it, Frost, is whether you want to call it a bell or a pair, if you look at the way that the planets move, you got to remember the sun is not stationary. The sun is moving around as well. So what you've got when you watch the actual solar system go, the sun goes through the earth or through the universe in a cyclic pattern. But the planets that seem to be around it are actually behind it. Picture, if you will, the sun working kind of like a comet. Okay. And when you take the moon or any of the planets, they aren't technically round, but it's a whole lot easier to draw them round than to take into consideration that you're more sitting on a pear or a bell shape where the top is narrower. And because as it's going, contrary to popular belief, the outer space is not completely empty. Okay, there's a whole pile of other stuff going on there. But one of the things I found where it comes to keeping yourself healthy, and for that matter, healing the parts of you that are damaged, is that the more you think about it, the more you focus on it, the better off you are. Okay, as long as you focus on the concept of heal. Okay, and I mean heal as in repair yourself, not heal as in WWE. Okay, but Frostkitten goes, I got the simple explanation from a lot of people. Take it literally, and I think that's where we have problems in our current society. Oh yeah, if you start looking at things literally, you can run into all sorts of problems, and that actually is where part of my communication issue comes in, because I know I have a tendency of taking things a little too literally, and that's probably the understatement of the decade. But when we're looking at your health, you literally have to understand the one constant in existence is is change. Change is not scary, it is not frightening, it's not even painful usually. And then you get the occasional person that has a very big problem. Okay, where their life changes overnight. Like, for instance, you know, if you all of a sudden end up with a necessary operation. Okay, if your life is taking, if you've gone through an accident, a hiccup, that all of a sudden you got to act on it, that can change your life rather drastically. Well, that's pretty much the case. Now, of course, Frost Kitten actually think that's an excellent idea. See, I've been looking into something here. That's not what I'm looking for. Need those. See, something I discovered there, like I'm going through a lot of different paperwork. And I've noticed that some of the axioms, some of the old sayings, okay, actually hold far more truth than what you might think. So I'm starting to collect them. My dad used to have a whole book full of these little axioms. Oh, I appreciate that, Frost. I have been working very hard at clearing the clutter out of this room to start with. Last year, I targeted the whole house. Not a good idea. So, what you can't see, and it's even better, is this bookshelf I've got over here. It's only got my inventory on it. Well, that's not entirely true. It's got 2 books I use for writing, but primarily that's inventory. Okay, the bottom of this shelf is also inventory, which is why any of the books I've got up for grabs, any of the books that I've got up for grabs can be attained through that neat little link at the top of the chat room that says buy me a coffee. Every book that I've got available is up there. Okay, and we are working on new ones as we go. Now, how did you put that? Change is the only path to growth. Very much the case. And the reason I say that is because if you don't grow, if you don't change, then your life will stagnate. And I don't know about you, but for me, a stagnant life has become very much a bane to me. Now, I spent a staggering amount of years, as in 55 out of 60, hiding from the world, hiding from people, and subsequently hiding from life. Oh, yeah, Frost Kitten. That being said, priorities first. That's always the important factor. You know, but yeah, the big thing that you got to look at there is with your mom. I will tell you, I made a mistake years and years ago. My mom and I, well, both my parents and I, had a bit of a falling out, and I never took the time to put it back together. Now, that is one of those regrets. We never had a falling out where I wouldn't talk to them at all, but we went down 2 very different roads. I will tell you, take advantage of the time you've got with her. Yeah, no doubt there, Frost. Just don't forget, you still have to take care of you. I mean, obviously, if you're the primary caregiver for your mom, you don't need me to tell you. Make sure she's got everything in hand that she can. And you clearly, with it being major heart surgery, you don't want to be running around for hours at a time. Well, you might desire to be, but not necessarily a wise move. Okay, but absolutely. And I'll tell you, if you haven't done so already, okay, do talk to her about her childhood. Okay, it'll give her something to reminisce about. Hopefully, it was a good childhood. But I'm finding, like, I'm reading my grandmother's autobiography. Okay, I ended up with the manuscript for it, and I was the only one that had a copy. So it has been put, that book has now been put in print for my family. Once I hear from my 2 brothers, I will determine if it goes on the market. Okay, but take the time. You've got the advantage here. Your mom is right there. You're having to take care of her. I guess that's only fair. She had to take care of you when you were tiny and not capable of taking care of you. It's only fair to balance the scales. So, with my grandmother's autobiography, I put it in print, but unless both my brothers say yes, put it on the market, I won't be. It was done for my family. And, my one brother looks at me and goes, if you got it done hard copy, he goes, he says, that must have cost a small fortune. Where is it? Right there. Like I said, I do a lot of writing, but I'm also doing a lot of reading. Didn't get to my reading today. Or did I? I don't think so. Okay. But that one I swore to my father I would read cover to cover. Okay. So that's the Bible. This book here that I'm also reading at the same time, about halfway through it. Like I said, LA, this is the book that's coming with me to go to you. I'm about halfway through reading it now. Okay. But this one's called Magic by Aleister Crowley. Once I'm done with it, it can go. And then this book here is the one I just had printed. Okay. And no, I'm not going to show you her front cover, but, the picture on the front. But this, like I said, I was going to build a publishing company. Okay. One of the things about healing, get any of the goals that you've got. Start making them a reality. This is a book that I put into print. I didn't write the thing. As a matter of fact, I didn't even read it before I put it into print. But I've got, what? There's 16 there, so I've got 14 books on the encyclopedia. And then I think I'd have to count, but I think probably another 10 or 15 that are in queue to read. Yeah, Frost. That book, I don't know how far it goes, but it literally talks about how when they came over from Wales, the government made a whole pile of promises to them and filled out none of them. The neat part about it, there's a whole lot of things that are going on. See, Inner Voice Enterprises, when I set it up, was already set up as a publishing company. But I finally, not until I ended up retired, decided it was time to push it. But I am now getting things organized to find out how to get copywriting done properly for other people in order to make that happen. One of the things about healing, okay, is I spent my life on the edge of poverty, usually on the downside edge of it. Okay, now I'm building an empire. And to me, the money is not the important factor. To me, the issue is I've got a lot of information. I see a lot of things that can be done. Okay. And for me to feel like I'm actually doing what I came here to do, I got to get out of the shadows and start making it happen. This is why I am currently putting the stuff together. I'm literally laying it out in the, on the computer to do a poetic anthology. And yes, I am taking submissions for it. One of the things that you look at when you look at financial health, make sure that first and foremost, you're covering your own expenses first. Ultimately, that, you say artistically, I say creatively, it works out the same way. It's funny. I will caution you on one thing, Frost. Okay, and take this from somebody that's absolutely created a problem for themselves not doing this. Absolutely. Put the effort into supporting people, into encouraging them. This is why this stream is absolutely remaining free. Okay, and the newsletter I put out is absolutely remaining free. Okay, That's where I do the free side of it. Yeah, however, am I doing the rest of it? Yeah. The catch to it is this. If I had the money, would it be viable to start taking care of everybody? Possibly, but it doesn't benefit. Okay. There's an old saying that goes, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. But you're right. The reason I decided I was going to do a poetic anthology, and I would take in other people's poems. Okay, now I already know how many poems are going to be in it. To be frank, I've got enough poems to put it together and put it out myself. Okay, which I will be doing one. But I'm also starting to collect poems for it. But here's the kicker to it. You know, when I'm looking at people that are striving to get a poem done, okay, I will never tell somebody, oh, your poem, it absolutely bites. It may not be my style. The only qualification I make for it is if you've got a poem, as long as it is not promoting aberrant behavior or or abusive situations. Yes, some poems are written about abusive situations. Take a look at Hans Christian Andersen and who are there were two sets of brothers. I forget which two. They wrote fairy tales and children's stories. I'll tell you how the kids slept when they heard the stories. I have no idea. But if you've got a poem, absolutely drop me a line. If you got one you'd like to get into print, because I will tell you, this over there, this is the reality behind it. That funny little name on the bottom end, that essentially gave me immortality. And of course, the reality is this: for anybody alive, as long as people know who you are, as long as people are talking about you in a positive way, preferably, okay, you're going to be remembered. Now, if you're interested in actually getting your poem included in an anthology, all I require is this, quite literally, a copy of the poem, a letter with it stating that it is your original work, and that I have the right to reproduce it. And I've got the right to reproduce it. Okay. Plus $20 Canadian. And you will get your first copy will be free. Okay, it'll be included in that. Net result, you'll have your poem in print. Now, I took a look at it and went, okay, January 3rd of this year, I had dropped to a mind-boggling $624.95 to my name. Okay. And here I'm going, oh, we'll be fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Net result, I turned around and now my finances are climbing. Finally. See, I will tell you this, Frost. I've looked into it. One of the big things, and again, when we're talking about getting things set up right, people have said, oh, you got to get, incorporate for tax reasons, etc. I will look into incorporation. One thing that I worry about is, as I understand it, and I might be mistaken on this because I've never looked into it. As I understand it, you incorporate, you have to have a board of directors. There is no way I'm taking on a board of directors that has any remote prayer of firing me from my own company. I will take on a board of advisors, and I'm currently looking for ones that fit what I'm looking for. But I'm being very picky, very methodical about it. The reality is, because I'm a dinosaur, I admit that. You take a look at my database, and where is it? There it is. My database cannot be hacked. Okay. It can be stolen, but good luck if you're a computer hacker trying to get to my database. Now, I'm sure some of you recognize these things. Yeah, they look like this. Okay. And yeah, you notice there's a lot written on the back of that. I'm not paranoid by any means. Well, maybe I am. But when you look at taking your life bringing your life from where it is to where you desire it to be, you've got to have the right heart in place. Now, the neat part about it, whoa, that's good. That was a near disaster. Stand up the wrong way, the leg decides it's going to go one way, the knee goes the other, and the hip decides to stay where it was. Not always a fun thing. But I am a firm believer, in order for us to heal, for this planet to heal, to get back on track, we've got to get away from these people that go, oh, like I've dealt with so many people in the corporate world that have said, here's what I'm going to do. Okay. Then, for X dollars, we'll make this happen. I don't work that way anymore. Okay. Not a prayer. Been there, done that, didn't work out all that well. Like I told people, I'm going to start printing books I didn't write. There's the first one. Right? I've got to talk to my little brother because he's got a book. Actually, there's a couple of you out there that have already approached me. Okay. And I'm just looking to get things organized properly. The one thing I will warn you, in order to heal, okay, healthy is when everything runs smoothly. The energy in my office right now is actually in pretty good shape. Just noticed something. One of the things about health is contain the mess. Contain things that are not balanced. And then sort through them. But the neater things are, this is just receipts I've got to sort through. The nice part about it is every tool I talk about are tools I personally put to use. Honestly, Frost, like you're asking, honestly, if you're asking, do people jump at a chance to be heard? Frankly, no, they don't, on the whole. Point in fact, before I found my artist to do my work for the Yldrbac Chronicles, I spent a year and a half in this city, in Kelowna. Okay. I went to an art school that was literally what they were called, was an art school. Okay. And I went to a university design. It was called, I forget what it was called, but it was a college for the arts. Went to them and said, I'm looking for an artist that I'm willing to pay for. Not one person from either student, or from either faculty, or from either establishment stepped forward. And I know the administration put the word out. But and the reality is this, Frost. Just to put that in perspective, about 3 months ago, maybe a little longer, I mentioned I was putting a poetic anthology together. Okay. If this is the case, you hear a lot of people say, oh, I've got a poem I'd love to get published. Okay. Now, maybe it's a question of visibility, but thus far, I have not had one poem come across the table. Not one. Okay. So, no, in all fairness, people don't jump at the chance to be heard. A lot of that is because we have taught them, we as a society have taught people to fear stepping into the spotlight. Okay. You desire to heal. Health is the overall picture of how you are. how healthy are you? How balanced is your mind? I don't mean how well do you fit in with the rest of society, because Lord knows I don't. Okay, I mean, how balanced are you in your mind? Are you content with the balance point between you and yourself? Okay, the reality of it is most people aren't, but most people won't actually talk about what they're not happy with. Okay, primarily because they've got this brilliant idea that if they say they're not really happy, people will look down on them. It happens all the flaming time. Okay, one of the biggest things we have to realize is when things are done differently than people are used to. What people are used to the idea of being ridiculed, of being looked down upon. Okay, I have never looked down upon anybody I wasn't taller than. I look down on people that I am taller than, but one of the neat things that is happening right now is we're just getting started. Yes, I've been doing this stream for 2 years now. As a matter of fact, whoa. Really? Wednesday will be my 3rd anniversary. Well, Wednesday will be the completion of my 2nd year, because March 6th of 21 was the first time that I, March 6th of 2021, I did my first podcast. Okay, so this will be in 5 days is the completion of my 2nd full year. Okay, so I have no idea what the numbers were from way back, but we are approaching, and the reality of it is, I hear so many people coming up to their anniversary going, "Oh, well, let's have a contest." And start broadcasting the contest and see what happens. Okay. Oh, come on, Ferret, you can't multitask. You're in Comox. I don't know anybody in Comox that doesn't multitask. Assuming you're still there. I know for me, if I don't have 15 things on the go at the same time, I'm in serious trouble. Well, yeah. I know you'll get a kick out of this. When I used to live in Comox, to drive from Comox to Victoria was because the Island Highway was extremely, shall we say, twisted. Right. I turned around. I went. It took us. I didn't turn around. It used to take us 4 hours to drive from Comox to Victoria, which is where my grandmother was. The neat part was that was only if Dad was driving. If Mom was driving, we could make that trip in 2.5. Well, as long as Ferret, Ferret, as long as you're not having to keep the dog out of the dinner. And he goes, "I'm slipping. I only finished 10 things today. I don't even know what the length of my list is right now." What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The good news there in LA is we're on about the same track right now. The question is how many more we've got to get to. Well, I tried to keep, I am keeping things small. I mean, let's face it. I'm going to be hard pressed. Anybody's going to be hard pressed to find somebody as small as my other half. Well, we like to think our mind isn't small, but I will tell you, you know, I get a kick out of it. I look at the world and go, I see the world in the same way, and I see everybody the same way. Okay. And this is the thing. There is no functional difference between myself and anybody else out there. When I talk about building an empire, here I am, I've got less than $10,000 to my name, and I'm looking at building an empire that changes the world simply because I don't like the way it's being done. I'm lucky I don't do laundry anymore. I haven't done laundry, I don't think, in almost 3 years to speak of. And don't let that drive you off the deep end. My youngest son came to me when he was about 16. Yeah, 15, 16 years old. And he goes, Dad, can I take over doing the laundry? I'm like, there's the laundry man. There's the laundry machine. Here's how you do it. And I walked away from it. In all fairness, if I have to use the laundry machine now, the washing machine or the dryer, I actually have to think about how to do it. The neat part about it, when we're talking about healing, the reality of it is this: your health is simply the overall picture. This is the state you're in. Is your health good? Do you require it to be improved? Probably. Okay. For the longest time, I was sleeping. I'd sleep 2 hours, wake up, be up for 4 hours, go back to sleep for two. Now I'm starting to sleep through. I'm still only sleeping 4 or 5 hours at best, but now I'm doing it in one shot. To me, this is an improvement. Tonight, I'll finish this stream in about 45 minutes, and then at 9 p.m. tonight, I'll be going on spaced out. Frost just going, I watched so many stories like wish someone would come for me. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing there, Frost. And I've seen this happen to so many people. Oh, I wish I'd have this experience. It's a great concept, but I will tell you from a practical experience, from a practical standpoint, not necessarily as enjoyable as you might think. Okay. I've had some experiences that were, to say the least, traumatic. Okay. But I do agree with you. It does add a whole new level of reality. This is one of the reasons why, when I'm dealing with people, I see them all the same. I don't see a difference. Okay. Whether we are talking human or another species, whether we are talking Caucasian, Oriental, Hispanic, Negroid, it doesn't matter. All people, all walks of life, every species I've ever run into, all have the same concerns. The neat part about it is in order to actually create the world, to co-create the world you desire, start with what you're looking for. Then collect people to you that are going to contribute to that. Or at the very least, okay, and I shouldn't put it that way, somebody just there saying good luck is still contributing. Okay, you avoid the people that go, you can't do that. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. One of the reasons I decided that I was going to start opening the door to take a look at publishing other people's work is I kept hearing people go, I wrote this short story. I really wanted to get it done. I took it to a publisher and the publisher went, it's not good enough. Okay. I saw them put out a video. I saw them put out a cartoon series, Stick Men. Okay. Now I'm telling you, if somebody can draw a cartoon of Stickman and sell it, and somebody else can grab a bucket of paint, and I love the artist I saw the one day. No, in all fairness, Frost, you really didn't. Okay. But with the fiasco, everybody got wiped off the market, and I just didn't know who did what. In a nutshell, what has happened is this. Because of the fiasco we had with the trolls, in a nutshell, number one, I wiped everybody off and then started reattaching them. But it created an interesting problem. So I will be looking for mods down the road. For the moment, there's a few people that have made the same comment. You know, the reality is I came up with a ratio and I had to put boundaries in place simply because of the fact that I let it get out of hand and it ended up creating an absolute disaster. The disaster being I turned around and had a heart attack over the deal. So I put a boundary, I put a border in place, and in a nutshell, here's how it works. Okay, and I'm not the only one involved in it. I've got the mods I've got in right now are there for a simple reason. Okay, because I can't do it all on my own. And much more importantly, okay, I handed the rules over to them after the fact. And now what I've done is gone, okay, I've got a number of mods in place. Okay, and there were a number of people that I had as mods that got cut out because I couldn't remember who was where. And I went, okay, we've got going in roughly 600 right now. When we get to 700, unless the mods that are in place start going, we're going to, we need somebody else to come in. If I start getting that from the mods, I look at the mods as advisors, if you will. Okay. But if they ask before then yeah, I'll seriously look at it. Other than that, I'm looking when I hit 700, I'll be looking at picking up a new mod. I do appreciate that, Frost. No, I've been asked that a number of times. I figure there are other people that are listening. And this is why I say, if somebody has a question, I don't care what the question is, ask, because the odds are somebody else has the same question. Okay. So what I did was I went, okay, here's some boundaries, turned it over to the mods I knew I was working with. In all fairness, Storm and Shadow has taken a whole lot, has taken the security level around here to a staggering level. Okay. Because I don't know about you, but, technology is a pain in the neck for me. Okay. And part of my healing process for me personally is to figure out how not to screw up my computer or my cell phone for that matter. But one of the things that you got to get, that people have to get organized, is if you're going to get your life running right, you got to have all aspects in balance. Yeah, it's funny. I was trained on very little. Actually, it was really comical when you think I was thrown out of basic chemistry and basic biology, as well as told I could not take any form of martial arts training or psychological training. Okay, which is really neat when you think they tried psychological programming. That didn't work well. One of the things I look at from the healing side is you've got to have energy running in the right way. So what I did there was first and foremost, where's that sheet gone? I've got a sheet around here somewhere, probably behind me. Nope. Not that one either. Sure, I went and buried it. Wouldn't you know it? Around here, someplace, I have the list I was just showing you a little earlier. Ah, there it is. This neat little sheet lays out the next 3 months of this stream. Okay, 3 months for all 6 days that I run. Assuming I don't go and have myself another neat little hiccup. But I'm laying out the same thing where it comes to positive perspectives, the magazine. That also is growing. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the reality is everybody is, but here's the neat little kicker. Everybody can survive on what they're making within reason, but there are ways to bolster that. When I'm looking at financial healing for anybody, okay, I look at it going, okay, there's lots of books out there that are fantastic that are written and tell you if you've got $40,000 or $50,000, this will help you get ahead. Well, I'll tell you, if I had $40,000 or $50,000, I wouldn't have a problem. What do we got here? I'm just catching up on what you wrote there, Frost. You've written everyone is capable of survival, and that is what we're missing. Missing the most, wouldn't you know it? We're fed lies as how do we respond? Okay, let me put it this way. I agree 100% with you. But the reason I don't blame the elites, the politicians, the economic leaders, the clergy, I don't blame them because they were taught the same way. Frost, first rule of thumb. If you're the one speaking and nobody else is saying anything, either there's nobody else that's interested in saying anything, or you're saying what they require hearing. So no apology, although accepted, no apology required. Besides that, it makes it easier from my end, so I'm being selfish there. But society has taught, we have been taught, I kid you not, for literally at least 15,000 years that I can prove, that anybody can quote. Okay, I know for the last 40,000 years, mankind has absolutely taught itself how not to think outside the box. And yet the oxymoron there is, you desire to get ahead, you got to think outside the box. I'm still trying to figure out where the freaking box is. Okay. Okay. That one I can give you right off the bat, Ellie. Okay. The neatest part about getting more energy, aside from diet, the one thing you can do, and worked like me for a charm when I figured it out. Don't worry about when you're going to bed. That is the one thing you don't deal with. Okay. What you do is pick when you're getting up in the morning. Okay. Now, the neat part about it, and you've already got the neat little part of it. This funny little book here. Okay. I know you've already got this one, Lynanne, but go back through it and tell you a couple of things important. Number one, actually, it'll tell you a lot important. Number one, pick a time to get up. Okay. Don't worry about when you go to bed, because you get up at the same time every morning, if at all possible, when your eyes focus enough that you can move. Okay. You get out of bed, Go do what you have to in the washroom. Come back, literally, in whichever order. Get dressed, get your bed made. Okay, I know that sounds absolutely bizarre, but the reason that bolsters energy, and the reason it bolsters energy is because by getting up, you've overcome the biggest obstacle you'll ever overcome in life, your own stubborn disposition. The reason for making the bed is that you literally have just accomplished the most annoying task invented by anybody. So you've started your day off beating the most stubborn obstacle you've ever had and doing the most annoying task. Talk about a way, you know, talk about a way of bolstering your own energy. This is why I get so much accomplished during the day. There are times when I get sidetracked badly. And Frost Kitten, shutting down all the devices from 9 p.m. and just relax at least an hour. I encourage people regularly. Take your TV, take your computer, and of course, in all fairness, I don't. But one thing that is very important, by getting on a stable routine, by getting on a stable routine of when you're doing things, the reason the most successful people that I've talked to in the world, around the world, especially the most successful business people, and let's understand something important about business. If you run a household, and let's say you're a stay-at-home mom, that's all you do. Yeah, right. I don't know who the genius was that came up with, running a household is just all you do. Okay, running a household is a business. Okay. By getting organized, by having a routine, the most successful business people I've ever run into were up and in their office working by 6 a.m. local time. Okay. By noon, they put 6 hours of work under their belt. Okay. By noon, they're on the golf course. Never again. I was on the golf course once. I used to work on one. I played golf once. The neat part about it is energy is derived quite seriously by a sense of success. Now, intriguingly enough, LA, in your case, the more you help people, you seem to feed very strongly off their success. I know this works because I do the same thing. This is one of the biggest reasons. Whoop. You take care, Farron. Thanks so much for dropping by. Really do appreciate it. I'm myself, one of the reasons I'm pushing this issue of coming out of the shadows is because so many people are walking down the same road. It's funny this year. It's funny this year, for being a reclusive, I'm going to be in the air probably 5 or 6 days this year. But I've got 3 trips booked into the States this year. Okay. Literally because, yes, I've got a couple of friends in town, but I see them on a semi-weekly basis in some cases. Just double check it here. The neat part about it is when I look at the issue, like I said, your health is literally take a look at the way your life is. Are you content with it? If you are content on all fronts, you're healthy. Healing is taking the aspect that isn't what you consider in perfect balance and putting it in balance. This is why I've laid things out the way I have at this point, and why I'm going to continue to do so. But it takes a lot to turn around and actually ask when things have gone sideways. Ask somebody that has done it successfully. The biggest catch to it is understanding not that everybody on the planet that I've ever run into, everybody I've run into existence, has some aspect of their life that they are not content with. The nice little part about it is that once your life starts moving in the right direction, and this is the other thing you'll find, LA, as things pick up pace, as you get things moving, it's kind of like getting a generator running. Once it takes a little energy to get it running. Well, I will tell you, Frost. I can tell you, I can absolutely confirm, I will be in Reno this year. So that's the easiest way to track me down. I don't know if you're going to be in Reno. I do know I will be. The nice part about it is when you're looking at your life, like I look at healing this way. If something is off kilter, get it straightened out. Okay. Takes a little bit of energy to get the wheel moving. But once that wheel is moving, you'll find the energy generates itself. The one thing I gotta ask you, Frost, because if you're running into that problem, that is a problem that may be a problem in perception. Okay, let me ask you this. See, the neat part about it is when you look at capitalizing, this society is built on the idea that you've got to be getting ahead. And I'll tell you, the trick is not to get ahead. The trick is to become content, not complacent. But as was stated earlier, change is it's the only way of progress. Because if you don't change, okay, I mean, take a look at me 2 years ago. My hair was down past my elbows. But the way to decide that is look in the mirror and go, am I content with what I'm seeing? Okay. Am I content with how I feel about this issue? Now, I found, primarily because I cut it off. Well, more to the point, I had a hairdresser cut it off. Go back to any of my videos. They're all on YouTube. Go back to any of them from, I guess, probably, this is 24, probably 22. 2022, I'd probably still have my long hair. Okay. I don't know right offhand when I had it cut, but I'm pretty certain 2022, 2021, I likely still had it. Because it hasn't been that long. It's been less than a year, I think, since I got it cut. Yeah, the best I can tell you. Yeah, I can tell you I'm up in BC, Canada. Okay. Which is, the fact I'm coming down to Reno at all. I'm reclusive. But I decided this year I'm going to be making a little more effort to get out in public. Talk about a challenge. But, like I said, the reality is you desire to change your life, you're going to have to get up and do it. You desire to heal, that to be, you desire to heal, to experience healing. It literally means you got to take a look at all aspects of your life: spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial. You get the idea. All aspects have to be in balance. Now, physically, I'm not in great shape, although I am down 60 pounds from what I used to be. Okay, that was done in that really weird setup. I did that thing that modern doctors say doesn't work. I cut back on the amount I was eating, and I increased the amount I was moving. Funny thing there, sitting on my tail feathers didn't drop weight. Okay, so I did the other side of it. Modern medicine and modern commercials all go, oh, just sit back, cutting down what you eat doesn't work. Just take this pill. I'm thinking, yeah, not a good idea. I tried that. I took one of those neat little fandangled pills. They said this will help you lose weight. Certainly it will. 3 days into taking it, I had a heart attack. For some weird reason, I threw the rest of the bottle out. Okay, and I actually bought 2 bottles, so I threw a bottle and a whole pile out. Okay, but you desire your life to change. First, you've got to have the desire. And like I said, this is the fundamental backbone. If you haven't already done this, okay, get this sign onto your fridge. Okay, I am worth it. The 4 most powerful words in combination in any language I've ever run across. Okay, it helps immensely with, you guessed it, self-worth, self-esteem, self-motivation, self-actualization. Get the picture? It literally boils down to deciding you're going to do it and then making it happen. Okay, one of the things I look at, and this does require your guys' assistance or a better marketing program on my end, okay, is I am looking, and right now, I see the world as terribly off kilter. Okay, the reason for that is we've been taught to be off kilter. Oh, Frost, absolutely. Absolutely. Let people know we're here. The reality is, and I appreciate that. The fact of the matter is we have literally billions of people sitting in front of TVs, in front of computers, watching other people stand there and go, you're all going to die. We're suffering from this shortage and that shortage. We're all going to starve to death. We're all going to die. Well, I'll save you a whole lot of hassle. You're all going to die. At some point, you're going to die. Some of us just make more runs at it. Okay, but we've got billions that sit there and tell you that sit there in front of somebody saying, you're going to die. Okay, millions of people, probably billions, that sit in front of the idiot box and watch other people play video games. They don't even play them themselves. Okay, we've been taught to be sedentary, to sit back and let life happen. Now, I'm telling you, I spent 55 years hiding from the world. Okay. I spent 55 years hiding from the world and avoiding life. Now is the time to step out of the shadows and go, okay, it's time to make things happen. And I can't do that clearly sitting back and waiting for the world to wake up. Didn't happen. Didn't work out the way I was hoping for. Now it's a question of making it happen. Okay. And now it's a question of figuring out how to get word out that this is what we're after. One of the biggest things that we have to look at is literally the scariest part of life. Get up, look in the mirror, ask yourself, are you content? Okay. Now, absolutely, where it comes to physical weight, something we must take into consideration. Some people have metabolic reasons why dropping weight isn't going to happen. But failing metabolic reasons, okay, the reality is you put less food, less calories into your body than you burn, you'll drop weight. Okay, it's that simple. Metabolic causes complications. Okay, and the whole idea of let's go on a diet, let's cut out this, that, and the other thing. Bad idea. The moment you start cutting out all these things, the old saying, everything in moderation, is absolutely on the money. But the fact is, if you're eating balanced in moderation, okay, and you're putting in less calories than what you're burning, the weight will come off. But it will come off so much easier when you get your mindset on, I'm dropping the weight or I'm discarding the weight. Because the problem with trying to change your weight levels is this. When you go, I want to lose weight. First, you're telling the universe, I desire to experience a lack of weight loss. Second, when you lose something, people are taught instinctively to go out and try and find it again. And the problem with weight is it seems to come back with company. That's just the reality behind it. So again, you take a look at where your world is, how you're looking at the world, and ask yourself, is this providing the results that you're aiming for? That's just the reality. Okay, one of the things that we've got to realize is that you have to get a clear idea. And this is something I'll be dealing with down the road. I just don't have time tonight. I'll give it to you this way. There are literally 4 things to draw success to you. Okay. And oddly enough, this actually applies across the board. Okay. And all that is you gotta have a purpose. What are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? Answer the 5 W's and the H. As in who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay. Answer those. You've got to have a purpose. Why? Answer all those questions about the purpose. Okay. Then you've got to have a plan. And that literally boils down to find out whatever is not aligned with that goal you've got and modify it so that it aligns. Because when you alter the energy in everything that is not aligned properly, all you'll have is your entire energy working towards that outcome. Okay. If you eliminate everything that's wrong, all you've got is a life you're content with. Then you've got to have persistence. Get on track, stay on track. You may fall off the track a number of times, but get right back on it and start down the same road. Okay. Then you've got to have the persistence to stay with it. Because I'm laying odds, in most of your cases, you didn't just turn around and have your life upside down in a heartbeat. Most of you worked your way into it. Lord knows I did. Okay. And this is why I look at the way I'm doing things going, okay, these are the tools I use. And the funny part about it is that I'm looking at this world going, right now, like I could get hung up on things and go, I watch some of these shows, some of the live streams that are going on that have literally hundreds of people in the chat room. That's not me. And clearly, it's not the number that matters. It's whether or not things shift gears. Because if we don't change the way this world is going, and that gets done one person at a time, okay, that is what we've got to make happen. Okay, but now I will tell you the other thing where it comes to energetic energy enhancement. Okay, one other thing that also works LA is when you're feeling sluggish, take either hand, put it palm down on something solid. Okay, a heavy recliner, a bed, the wall, whatever. Okay, something that normally sits on the ground. And let the energy flow out of your hand, much like water out of a faucet. You'll feel your weight gets less. Okay, you'll start to feel a little bit more buoyant, if you will. And net result, more energy will be available to you. Okay, this is one of those things because that feeling of lethargy is one of the things that holds you back. And yes, I am absolutely speaking from experience. There are times when I will lay down and not move for a few hours. Not necessarily the best way to do it. Ultimately, there, LA, yes. Okay, you literally visualize that negative, stagnant energy flowing out, and you draw and put it into something that normally sits on the ground. Because what'll happen is the energy will flow through that item into the ground itself, where it will be replenished. It'll be converted. It'll be, if you will, consumed and released again. That will again enhance your energy. One of the reasons why, when I wake up in the morning, this is why I say, as soon as your eyes focus enough that you can move, get out of bed, get sitting up, put your feet on the floor. Okay, this will drain the sleep out of you like that. Okay, fairness, a finger in the light socket has pretty much the same effect, but a lot more painful. Okay, then you get up, do what you have to in the washroom, because let's face it, you don't want to do that in the bed. Okay, get back, get dressed. Even if you're just going to be lounging around the house, get dressed in clothes that you could go out of the house in. Okay, by doing that, you're building that energy, that drive right there. The reality is clothing doesn't make the person, but it does affect the way that you see yourself and the way other people see you. Okay, oddly enough, I've seen people do it, and I don't have the clothes to do it. Not much interest in the clothes to do it either. I've seen people get dressed right to the nines to sit down and have a coffee in their own living room. Okay, and these people have so much energy, it's just incredible. Well, Frost, I mean, glad to see you back. If you're going to scream at people, this is going to sound like a really weird way to do it. But take your hands, okay, and if you want to scream at them, you can look at it kind of like clapping, but all you got to do is just wave your hands like this, okay? That is deaf people's way of clapping because they can't hear this anyway. So you hold your hands palms towards them and you just scream, or you clap, depending on how you want to call it. You know, the nice part about it, yeah, it probably does. I mean, the reality is one of the biggest things that I always found was screaming, much as it does get people's attention and quite often will work. That's based on the idea that it either startles them or scares the heck out of them. But I will tell you, I found out something really neat. You walk in, drop your voice really low, you know, just loud enough that they can hear you. Or you walk in, you stand there and you look at them. They'll get uncomfortable and look at you, and there are ways of doing it without driving your own blood pressure up. And rest assured, I'm no expert on blood pressure, but I do know my blood pressure gets too high, causes heart attacks, not a fun thing. Okay. Of course, you can always do it the other way. You walk into the room, take a bucket, it doesn't even have to be a full bucket. Walk into the room, hold the bucket up, and you go, ice cream. You may get a whole pile of people's attention in a real hurry. Of course, they may look at you and go, what the heck? Well, I got a kick out of it. I was just thinking that, I saw the word whisper. I remember years ago, there was a set of women's clothing called Whisper Pantyhose. And I remember seeing a little blurb in a Mad magazine. And it says whisper, you'll get more attention. And that was the catch on their article. Only in the Mad magazine, it showed this woman in the background. There's a guy on the beach. This woman in the background whispering, "Help, I'm drowning." It didn't quite work the way it should have, but you get the idea. Now the reality of it is, I'm not the one to tell people how they have to do things. I'm simply suggesting people look in the mirror and go, is it working for me? Is my method working? Now, I will tell this 2 hours has not done bad. Certainly didn't have my biggest turnout. I'm still trying to figure out that side of it, but that's okay. But we are hitting the 2 hour mark here. I will be in on Spaced Out tonight. But thank you guys so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I cannot tell you how much it means. That said, I will be back again. But until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.